Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Cabinet. We'll make a start. Do we have any apologies for absence? Councillor Robertson, Rebecca Sutcliffe, thank you. I've not been notified of any urgent business, is that correct? No, none received. Does anybody have an interest that they need to declare in any of the items to be discussed?
No.
Take silence to be no. Public question time? None received. The minutes of the Cabinet meeting held on the 18th of November are pages 1 to 8. Are members happy to agree those as a correct record? Agreed, thank you very much. So that takes us on to item 6, which is Income Strategy 2020-21 to 2024-25, beginning on page 9. Councillor Jabbar.
Thank you very much, Chair. So this is a very important document which sets out how the Council's funding is raised. So it comes from grants, council tax, business rate, fees and charges, but also from investment that the council would make. And I'd ask colleagues to have a look at Appendix 1 if they've got any time to consider what we're proposing to do in terms of the details of the various income streams I've just mentioned. So this is a refresh of the document. Happy to take any questions that people would have. Just to point out, item 7 is commercial properties. That's a separate strategy which is part of this document. Just to clarify, Chair, so that people are not confused why have we got two items.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Jabbar. Do any members wish to speak on the income strategy paper? No? So is that agreed? Agreed, thank you. Okay, so item 7 is the Commercial Property Investment Strategy and Fund. Councillor Jabbar, do you want to speak to this?
Yeah, so why we made it a separate document is clearly income from property can be very volatile, and we just wanted to make sure that there was a proper strategy around it to make sure that we understood the parameters in which we are going to work in, because clearly the investment in this area is to generate additional income for the council and diversify the income streams for the council, not to do anything else. So we felt that we needed a proper strategy, but also some parameters in which we're going to operate in. Again, this is a refresh of the previous document. Quite happy, Chair, to take any questions from anyone.
Thank you, Councillor Jabbar. Do any members wish to speak on this item or ask any questions? No? Okay. So do members agree the recommendations are set out at the front of the report? Thank you very much. So item 8, it's entitled Creating a Better Place. There is some detail in the report, but what this does is set the framework for our regeneration ambitions, much of which will be announced in the new year. So we need to set out what our ambitions are, set out the way we are going to work, and that is what this paper does. There is more to follow, so I can't really say very much tonight, but I guess anybody watching at home or anybody reporting on this meeting, watch this space for announcements after Christmas. So are members happy to agree the recommendations are set out at the front of the report?
Agreed.
Great stuff. Item 9, Council tax-based and non-domestic rates tax-based forecast 2020-2021.
Thank you, Chair. So although this is a very technical report, it is actually quite an important one because it sets out the basis for our two local taxation. First one is the council tax and the second one is the business rate. So if you look on page 46 of the report, second paragraph, it gives you the details. So we're projecting that next year there would be an increase of our council tax base of 970 properties. That will take it to 56,693. And then in terms of the business rate, Chair, we're estimating that the income we'll receive from business rate will be 50.547 million. And then on page 47, there are 3 other recommendations. 2 of them relate to giving delegated authority to me and the Director of Finance. Quite happy, Chair, to take any questions. Obviously, we use those 2 bases to form our income for next financial year and set the council tax.
Any questions to Councillor Jabbar? Does Cabinet agree the recommendations? Agreed. Wonderful. Item 10, Schools National Funding Formula. Abdul?
Chair, so again, this is another very important document. What we're suggesting, Chair, here is that we go for Model B in terms of distributing the additional resources that schools have got. We've been in touch with the schools through the school forum and through the heads forum. They have agreed with that. The key thing to note is that every single school actually gets some additional income from this proposal. They're detailed in the paper. Again, I'm quite happy together with colleagues to answer any questions. I don't know whether Shahid wants to come into this as well, Chair.
Councillor Mushtaq?
Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, just to echo and agree what Abdul said, I did have a briefing with the Director of Finance around this, and yeah, it's good news that we are getting more funding for the schools.
I'm sure the risk management strategy policy is going to be the story of this Cabinet meeting in the paper.
We need to agree the first paper.
Oh, do we? Well, I wasn't moving on.
Sorry,
Can we agree the recommendations as set out on page 79?
Yeah.
That's what you're, yeah? Wonderful.
No, sorry, Chair. Sorry. Apologies. Item 10.
Oh, have I missed one?
Item 10, the school funding report.
Oh, sorry.
It's on page 60. We just need to agree the recommendation of saying that we're going to go with a Model B outlined in this paper. Apologies.
Yeah, thanks, Councillor Jabbar. Sorry, I was getting ahead of myself. So did Cabinet agree to go with Model B in the school's national funding formula? Yeah. Agreed. Great, thank you. All right, so risk management strategy and framework.
Yeah, Chair, this is quite an important document because obviously we, as a large organisations, we deal with lots of different things. We've got to make sure that we have a risk management in place, and we do that quite well. It's been to our audit committee. It's here for approval. The key thing I think for you to recall, for me to point out, is the working with Oldham Cares as a partner now. So that brings a new dimension, and in this new dimension we have some additional risk which is highlighted in this report. Again, I'm pleased to say that 3 people are here, the Chief Executive, Mike and Anne, who could answer any detailed questions if anybody's got anything.
Does anybody have any detailed questions? Oh, look at you. Thank you. All right. Thank you. So does Cabinet agree the recommendations around the risk management framework? Agreed. Thank you very much. So we are on to item 12, update on the Oldham healthcare economy. Councillor Jabbar and Chauhan, you all both named at the front of this report. You wish to speak?
I think Dr. Chauhan needs a bit more highlight after his wonderful performance in Cheadle. So,
microphone, people can't hear you. Put your mic on. It's a good job, isn't it?
Can you repeat again? No, yeah. This is a proposal to increase council's proposed contribution to pooled budget, which is under section 75. As you know, that in Oldham we're working jointly with clinical commissioning group, and our chief executive is also accountable officer for NHS Oldham. I think it will be fair to say that we have made some great progress in Oldham by integrating our health and social care, and this is a continuation of the same, where we are asking to increase our council contribution by 5.9 million in 2019-20. This will support the financial resilience in a plan of the CCG.
Thanks, Councillor Chauhan. Councillor Jabbar, you indicated.
yeah, thank you, Chair. So as Councillor Zahid has said, we are supporting CCG with £5.9 million. The reason for that, Chair, is that we want to work with CCG to make sure that Oldham is a better place and make sure that the benefit of working together actually benefits the residents and remove any duplication and actually become a more efficient organisation. So I'm happy to support this, and I just hope that with working together and with sharing some resources, will be, the people of Oldham will benefit from that. So I'm happy to support this paper.
Thanks, Councillor Jabbar. I think the paper and the decision, if we take it to increase the pool budget, is a testament to the strength of our relationship with the CCG and how we're both committed to improving the health outcomes of the people of Oldham. So I support this recommendation. Does the rest of Cabinet? Agreed. Fantastic. Thank you very much. Item 13, care leavers and homelessness. Councillors Chatterton and Chowan. Who wants to go first? Councillor Chatterton.
Thank you. So, under current legislation, homelessness legislation, the local authority has a duty to provide support up to the age of 21 for care leavers that are made homeless. This can include providing temporary or sometimes permanent accommodation. From 2017 onwards, as members will be aware, a duty was put on the local authority to provide support up until the age of 25 for some of our care leavers. I think we've seen over the past 2 years how seriously to take our role as corporate parents and how we've extended some benefits into those up to age 25 for our care leavers. This includes the free prescriptions, which I believe we're the first in the country to do, discretionary tax rates, council tax rates and free bus passes as well. What this report seeks to do is to extend the principle of the homelessness legislation up to the age of 25 for our care leavers. So this will mean that none of our care leavers up to the age of 25 will be made intentionally homeless, but also that they will become a high priority if they are made homeless. I ask Cabinet to agree. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Chatterton. Zahid, do you want to speak on this?
Just to make a point and reinforce what Councillor Chatterton said, we as a local councillor are setting the national examples, and we know when national political leaders came to Oldham and they said we're finding the solution for national problems in Oldham despite very difficult circumstances. We also know that unfortunately in fifth richest nation we have every 17 hours a person dying as a homeless in our streets. So it's absolutely important, despite having very, very difficult financial circumstances, we are taking these initiatives, and I think we should be proud of ourselves for amazing work we're doing under the difficult circumstances. So I fully heartedly support this.
Thanks, Councillor Chowan. Does Cabinet agree with the recommendations?
Agreed.
Thank you. Item 14 is the selective licensing of the private rented sector. This is a paper that's seeking agreement to commence consultation on the new selective licensing scheme, which incorporates some new areas compared to the previous selective licensing scheme that we've been running. The evidence is that the selective licensing scheme, where it has been running, has improved the quality of housing for local people. We know that there is a particular problem with low quality housing, particularly in the private rented sector, and it's a significant issue for many ward members around casework, and accountability of landlords is obviously a problem for lots of people and lots of residents that we represent. And so whilst we would like to have more powers to improve the quality of housing right across the various sectors within the borough, selective licensing is one such step that we can take. And so this paper is seeking your agreement so that we can consult on a new scheme which incorporates some areas that previously were not covered by selective licensing, and hopefully we will be able to use these powers to improve the quality of housing for the people that we represent. Do Cabinet have any questions or comments on this report? Councillor Chowan.
Just observation that I know quite a few constituents have contacted us thinking whether the decisions already have been made. This is a genuine consultation, so I encourage people to come and participate in consultations so their views can be considered.
Yes, thanks, Councillor Chowan. That's an important point. Anybody else? No? Okay. So does Cabinet agree the recommendations as set out at the front of the report?
Agreed.
Agree. Thank you. Item 15, expansion of Mayfield Primary School. Councillor Mushtaq.
Yeah, thank you. So it's basically asking Cabinet to approve revised costs for one form expansion to Mayfield Primary. This did come to Cabinet in April 2019, and it was envisaged that there would be an increased cost, and the details of that are in the report. So we're asking for approval for option 1, please, tonight. Thank you.
Do any members wish to speak on this report? I think that expanding Mayfield Primary School, not just for school places, but because it was also, I understand, the former school of Kelvin Fletcher, who won Strictly Come Dancing on Saturday night, and that's a good enough reason as any. So maybe we can churn out some more dancers. Do Cabinet agree the recommendations? Item 16, Council Performance Report. Generally speaking, we note this report. Do any members wish to speak on anything contained within it? No. Okay. Do you agree with the recommendations at the front of the report? Agreed. Thank you very much. Right, so that's item 17 is exclusion of the press and public, so the cameras are off.